concepts are so clear in Eastern wisdom. If one is the, oh yeah, let me first pick up will and emotional dependence. So that will make you understand. Say one is addicted to drugs, but he is a good guy. He wants to change himself and he wants to stop taking the drugs. And
Right.
every day in the morning he wills. Okay, no, he has a no, I will stop it. But by the evening he starts again taking the drugs. So his will is not working. And then after a few weeks he gets frustrated. And he says, I am very weak, my will is not working.
Mm.
So the intellect gives you that will to change where the knowledge is first understood, retained, and realized. So if we have an intellect that is not dictated by the mind, which is impulsive, your will work and the knowledge will be realized once and for all. But as you already told me, that you are going back and forth, definitely it is the mind which triggers, which weakens the will. So, what should be done?
I see.
So, the first part you are already doing good when you said to me that you are contemplating and reflecting a lot. That is important. What that means? You are listening and learning uh, with a live teacher, and the master says that you have to do the repeat listening. Repeat listening on your own. You have listened, and now you contemplate. What is that contemplation? You retrieve those principles and start asking the questions in your mind, and you find the answer. You get a clarity. So, that is what the contemplation and reflection is. So, it removes the doubt.
Okay.
So, now what happens? Now, be very clear, if the mind dictates over the intellect, it changes the perception. That is what we mean by back and forth movement. So, if sometime the mind becomes stronger and sometime the intellect becomes stronger, the masters suggest that you should be doing a practice regularly. So, the practice goes into the mind, it purifies the mind, it allows the mind to receive the knowledge that we have understood. So that is why we say 3 steps are for the highest level of a seeker. First step, listening and learning about a principle, followed by contemplation and reflection. That is the second step, and third step is doing the practice regularly. So when you practice regularly, first thing what happens, the mind gradually weakens that sense of emotional dependence, it weakens the impulsive nature, it stops dictating the intellect so that the knowledge shines in the intellect.
Is there only one way to practice? Like just the listening, or like when you say practice, is that listening to you, or what is the practice?
No. First step is listening and learning
Okay.
with a live teacher. That is the first step. And the second step, you do the repeat listening by yourself. That is why I send you these audio files.
Okay.
So after repeat listening, you contemplate and reflect. So when you contemplate and reflect, your intellect, which has some doubts, which is removed. So now the knowledge is retained. Now that knowledge has to be retained by the intellect, but has to be realized by the mind. For that, the third step is the practice. I have given you many practices. So if we continue the practice, so it hastens the process of evolution. Say, for example, today's lesson, you heard it, you did the repeat listening, and then you contemplated and reflected, and after that, you did the practice. So, what happens by the practice? Your mind blocks unwanted, unwelcome thought process, which helps the intellect to descend that knowledge into the mind. If the knowledge does not descend into the mind, it is not going to help you in a long run. Your mind will trigger the past impression. It will create a sense of emotional dependence. And then what happens? There are 16 obstacles to that. So, at the right time, in a situation, in unfavorable situation, you will forget these principles. That is what the emotional dependence is. And when you forget it, then you will say, oh, this beer guy is just teaching for the sake of teaching. It does not bring any result. So that is why these three steps are for the highest level of a seeker. So now you can ask that what to do. That one is the practice. But before we employ the third three steps, we have to go to the fourfold practices. First is the discernment. The power of discernment comes to those people definitely who contemplate and reflect daily over these principles. That is what is happening. So discernment means what? You separate real from the false. So we should have a clarity what is false and what is real and what is unreal. Now you have been contemplating and reflecting, so then it results into what we say the dispassion. So you see what happens. Constant listening and learning and repeat listening, contemplation and reflection helps to us to loosen the attachment and detachment, strong likes and dislikes in the mind. And if that process continues without mind being dictating us or dictating the intellect, it results into calmness, peace, a level of endurance is there. A tremendous faith develops to oneself, where we continue to treat the path of journey to the self-discovery. And then what happens? The time comes, you wake up in the morning, the first thing you remember, oh, where is the real self? Your mind remains withdrawn. It is not distracted. It does not invite any unwelcome thoughts. So those are the four steps. Discernment, dispassion, intense desire, and a sense of calmness prevails throughout the day. Otherwise, what happens? Because of the mind, will is defeated and we go back and forth. So we sing like a pendulum. Oh, I remember, but I forgot. So that's why I have a level of stress or I get attached, and that causes the problem. Now, for another level of a seeker, who is the lower level of a seeker, who still has not reached to that level of contemplation and reflection which you have reached, then we say, okay, we will use the mantra. That mantra practice you should be doing. We may use the kundalini meditation. Kundalini meditation all results into purification of the mind. That is all there. But if you use that purification as an excuse, because those purification practices are, I would say, not very tough, but in a sense that it has to be done intensively. We use the breathing and the mantra and also the vision. So if we are not with the teacher, and the teacher should also be well versed. If the teacher is not well versed, what happens? The seeker tells the student, I have seen the blue color, I have a good vision, and both get carried away by the visions and colors, it may result into hallucination. So majority of the people who does the kundalini meditation, they are suffering from hallucination. I told you also before in New Jersey, a guy, he was young like you, and so I normally used to ask in a group session that why you have joined me. No, I have a lot of stress. But one thing, I have otherwise no problem. I go into meditation and I see the God. I talk with the God. Very good. You talk to the God? Yes. So why don't you talk to the God to remove your stress? Why you have come to me? And you are already communicating with the God. And after all, when you are communicating with the God, you are going to Colorado mountain and you say, I still have a very hot weather. That is not acceptable. It is a hallucination. It's pure hallucination. Or you can say, you are living in Phoenix and I had a snowfall. That is purely a hallucination. It has nothing to do with your realization and communicating with the God. Don't don't talk to me about that. You have a God realization. So you see that those kind of hallucinations people are having, and they claim that they have a beautiful experiences. So for that, that is why even the kundalini practices and mantra practices has to be done under the supervision of a teacher who is well versed, not any teacher, who is well versed with these texts of Eastern wisdom, and what a good thing if the teacher has received a traditional teaching method, who lived with any master. Now, third level. Now you have a vague idea that there is a self, I can reach to the permanent happiness, and still, now that is the lowest level where the people do not think too much, do not contemplate too much. So there we always need a practice. I don't talk much to those people, and I simply say 5 minutes of talk, 50 minutes of practice, and then I check how they go for their experiences. So based on their experiences, I tell them these experiences can help you change your attitude. So from the lowest level, they move to the second level, to the third level, the fourth level. It depends on them. It does not depend on neither on the practice or nor on the teaching, because it depends on how much you want to evolve. So some people evolve faster. They jump within few months, they jump onto the fourth level. So we always recommend that even at the fourth level, we should be doing even 15 minutes of the practice. So what I was thinking that from the next session, we will be doing minimum 15 minutes of the practice.
Okay.
So that will be very good. So now come back. We deviated too much. No, but deviated for good. So first step we have understood that we simply say know the real self. It means I don't know the real self, and still I claim I know I am. So I have to understand clearly what is real self and what is false self. That was the first step. And perhaps last week and day before, I just explained you that the real self has 6 characteristics. Constantly contemplate and live with that. Whereas the first characteristic of the real self is eternal, it is beyond time. Beyond time means what? It was present yesterday, it was present in the past, it is still present, it will continue to be present in the future. It has no effect. It is not subjected by the past, present, and the future, like the space, for example. The space is not impacted. In the 9/11 attack, the World Twin Towers were demolished, but nothing happened to the space. So, just a kind of a metaphor. Roughly, we say that consciousness is all pervading and unchanging reality. So when we say it is unchanging reality, it means It is not like any object. It does not have any shape in the form. So when it does not have a shape and form, it is not subjected by the time, then it is known as the truth. What we say, the absolute truth. And absolute means that it is not changing, it is not subjected by the time, it is not subjected by, and whatever is subjected by the time and the space is not me. I have to look. So just, you're contemplating, sitting on a lazy chair. Oh, then your intellect reveals body is constantly changing. So I'm not the body. Breath is constantly changing. I'm not the mind. I'm not the breath. I'm not the mind. I'm not the intellect. I'm not the ego. I'm not the thought. Then who am I? And still you are absorbed into contemplation and reflection. That becomes a natural meditation.
Girish, why can't I be something that changes though?
Oh, that's a
And I
very
know I've asked you this before, but you have a good answer for that. But I think I get stuck there sometimes because yeah, all this does change, but why can't I be what changes?
it is self-evident that you are not what is changing. You have a 5-year-old body, you have a 10-year-old body, you have 15 years old body, you have 20, 30 years old body. The body kept on changing, but the I that remained in the body was the same. So I that remained the same. So it means I am that I which does not change.
What about when people say, "Oh, well, I've grown, or I've evolved, or I've learned a lot, or I'm a different person"? What do you say to that?
Simple. The way the body grows and reaches to a physical maturity, the same way the mind changes, means change of mind means either I go insane, that is also one change in the mind, or there is a mental maturity.
Okay.
So it is again, mind is changing. That we need to understand. So whatever is changing is not me. Sometimes you see that we did silly things, and then we say I'm sorry. But now I have become mature. Why I say sorry? So the mind has two changes. First it was silly, now it is mature. That's why I said sorry. So the mind is changing. So can you claim that which one is you? Which one is your mind? If you are the mind, are you a silly all the time? No. Are you insane all the time? No. Do you remain in the state of pure awareness all the time? No. So it means mind is changing. It means I'm not the mind. Same way, same way, same way. The breath is changing. I cannot say I'm the breath. I cannot say with the certainty that I'm any of these thoughts. So there we have a detailed explanation. We say there is a real self and there is a false I. What is false I? False I is a personality. What is personality? The personality, just make an equation. Personality is equal to body plus breath plus mind plus intellect plus I thought plus consciousness. Or you can say plus real self. What I said? Personality is equal to body plus breath plus mind plus intellect plus I thought plus real self or pure consciousness. So now find out in the equation what is real self. So real self will be minus real self on one side. Real self is equal to personality minus body plus breath, mind, intellect, and the I thought. What is left is the pure consciousness. Understand in a different way. Be very clear. Equation. On one side, left side of the equation is 20, for example. 20. So 20 is equal to 5 plus 3 plus 2 plus 4 plus 6. So both are 20. But this 20 cannot be divided. But on the other side of the equation, we have 6 layers, which is constantly changing. So even they both are equal, but one that is not changing, the others which are constantly changing. So that is where the individual self is, and there on one side is the real self. So we say that is, our masters came to that conclusion, that journal observation. Take another example, that I cannot be what is changing. Every day, 24 hours. Every day we have a waking state, we have a dream state, we have a sleep state. So just say, waking state, you are a waker. Sleeping state, you are a sleeper. Dreaming state, you are a dreamer. Which one is you? If you say you are a waker, if you claim that you are a waker, the waker does not know the sleeper, waker does not know the dreamer. The sleeper does not know the waking state, does not know the dream state. The dreamer in you does not know the waking state and the sleeping state. Who you are? Are you a waker? No. Am I a sleeper? No. Am I a dreamer? No. Then who am I? On which all the 3 states are based. Where it is based? On the consciousness. That I is not changing. Do you see? Waking state changes. Waking converts into dream phase, but I remains the same. Dream phase converts into sleeping state, I remains the same. From the sleeping state, again we wake up and we remember the entire world. Sleep state does not know anything. So that I is continuous. That real I is continuous in all the 3 states. My friend, that I not only continues 24 hours, that I is the same days after days, weeks after weeks, months after months, years after years. You become 150 years old and still, I'm just waiting, another add 120, 130 years. So even at one age of 150 years, you don't forget that I.
Where was the I before I was born?
Before that, I did not recognize. So when the mind reaches the stage of maturity, it became self-aware. Then only I started using I, but that I was the false I. Nobody taught me what is the real I. I was always there. We have deviated too much, but now it's okay, we have deviated, so that will help you also understand. I told you before that, now first make an example of you have an iPhone? Okay. So there is a material cause for the iPhone. Material cause means you can say plastic, steel, chip, etc. etc. It is a material cause. If you don't have a matter, you cannot create an iPhone, even if you are an expert. So one is the iPhone maker and other is the material by which the iPhone is created. So there are 2 things. For any creation, we need a material cause and efficient cause. What is an efficient cause? Efficient cause here in case of the iPhone is the iPhone maker. Make it simple. pot maker and the pot, clay. So the clay constantly changes, but the pot maker does not change. So all the religions have a rough idea that the God does not change. God is the creator of the world.
Okay.
Yeah, you see that? God is the creator of the world. But the problem here lies, we are going very deep into the very higher principle. But now you have asked me, so let us go there. Now you are a builder. You said that you are a builder. So
Yes.
you make an effort. You exhaust your energy. And when you exhaust your energy, you put your money, you put your labor. So you are changing. So any efficient cause who is a builder or a maker of anything should also change. But
Yes.
God does not change. In all the religions, they don't have an answer. No religion has an answer. When
An
you
answer for what? For
we say that the God is the creator of the world, and he's making so much of effort to create each and everything, millions and billions of species, so he should have been exhausted by now. He should have been dead now. He should have been dead now. And we are still worshipping that God who we claim who is a God, and still we say if the God is the creator, anything that is who is the creator has to die. Einstein created, died. Edison created, died. Well, that is a cause and effect relationship. There is a cause and effect relationship. So now I'm just giving a brief pointer here, and then I'll go back to the same example. So the Eastern wisdom helps us to discover that element which we say God, they participate in the creation without any chains to them. So that is the consciousness which participate in the process of change but does not change itself. It does not change itself. How come that is possible? Well, it is all 100% possible. So that is the discovery of the real self. That is the eternal. That is all pervading. That is the non changing identity. That remains the same. So then we change the word from creator to a manifestation. We say, no, God doesn't create anything. It manifests. How? The way the water in the presence of the wind manifests into waves. Manifestation means it manifests, it becomes unmanifest. So the entire world is a manifestation of that consciousness which we say God, that never changes, which is all pervading, which is eternal. I jumped into the highest level that we are going to understand in a slow. So that never changes. So if you say the God is the creator, he has to change. He should have been exhausted. And now the God should have been dead now. So we don't refer to anything that is a maker and a creator. We say it is a manifestation. On the early morning sun, the sun reflects its light on a mirror where it falls, and the reflected light goes into the wall, into your room. Does the sun change? No. Does the sun change? Mirror medium is there, so it reflected, and you see the sunlight inside your room. Why I explained so? Our parents put the material into order. That putting material into an order means conception. Your parents, my parents, put us into a conception stage. When the male and the female DNA, you can say, or you can say semen and the egg, they mix together, they fertilize in the womb of the mother. The moment the fertilization process started, pay attention. The moment the fertilization process started, remember one thing, that parents did not also pass the consciousness into the semen and the egg. It is purely a matter, it's a DNA, it's a protein molecule. They did not pass the consciousness. And as such, as a human being, I cannot pass the consciousness into this mouse. If I can pass on to the consciousness into the mouse, I can definitely claim that yes, I can also pass on to the consciousness into the semen and egg. Not possible. So they created a material cause. Understand? That is why I explained to you the material cause and the efficient cause. Now see that when that medium is created, what is the medium? I told you the mirror is the medium to reflect the sunlight. The wall cannot reflect it. It has to be a finer medium. So the finer medium is the semen and the egg, with fertilized. So now in that finer medium, the consciousness which is ever present is reflected there. And that is how, after 9 months, we came out of the womb of the mother as a conscious baby. As a conscious. But that consciousness is present everywhere, all the time, everywhere. So that consciousness is now enveloped. That consciousness, we're talking a very higher principle again and again, I'm repeating. So don't worry if you do not understand. You have to listen to it again and again. So it means, as a child means what? That consciousness is enveloped in the body-mind complex. That is known as the individual self. So that consciousness, which is not changing, is still present. Mind present there, it reflects, and the mind becomes sentient. The mind ultimately makes every cell of the body sentient by reflection. It is the reflected light. It is not the original consciousness. If the original consciousness is the nature of the body, then this body will never die. It is not. It is only the reflected. It is only the reflected. It is also reflected in the mind. It is also reflected in the sense organ. So that is why the body has to die. Body does not have a natural state of the consciousness. Intrinsic nature of the body is not consciousness. That consciousness still is independent of the body and the mind. That is why the body dies. Otherwise, body will never die if it is the intrinsic nature of the body. If this body, whose intrinsic nature is consciousness, it will never die. Because they are separate. That's why the body leaves. That's why the body leaves. That consciousness is totally independent. That consciousness enveloped in a body-mind complex is known as the real self. That consciousness is enveloped in the entire world is known as the God. They both are the same.
Yeah.
Reference to individual, it is real self. The reference to the entire world, it is, you can say, the God or the pure consciousness. Again, remember, it does not go under change. So because of that consciousness, This is the manifestation. The body is the manifestation. The mind is the manifestations. The thoughts are the manifestation. What is manifestation? Means it was unmanifest at certain period of time. This body, exactly 65 years ago, it was unmanifest. Because of the consciousness, because of the support of the consciousness, it manifests as the efficient cause, and the material cause was provided by my parents. Everyone, whosoever is born, must have parents. Toyota car has also parents. iPhone also has parents. So you see that efficient cause and the material, efficient cause does not change. Now understand the second part of it. Material cause is always changing. Iron ore goes into the iron plant, converts into a steel, it is changing. Now steel change. Steel goes into the Toyota manufacturing plant and they create the body of a car. It is the same iron which is undergoing modifications. It is the same iron ore which is undergoing modification. Now the Toyota car is 50 years old, so it goes to a plant where every steel is scrapped, steel is separated, and that steel is converted into the utilities and utensils of the kitchen. Whatever we use, it's what we say, rust-free. I don't remember, dust-free and rust-free bowls. Oh, so material cause is always changing. Body is the material cause. It has to change. Universal law. Why to worry? Why to be scared of the death? It follows the universal law. It is not the death of the body. It is the universal law of a change. That is, the material cause is always changing. It has to change.
Well, then why is it so scary? Then why is death so scary?
Because I claim I am the body.
Yeah.
Because that I am. If you say I am plus body, that works. No fear. But when you say I am the body, that scares.
Yeah.
I am my house, and if something happens to the house, you get frustrated. But the house belongs to me. One thing, but I'm not the house. Body belongs to me, but I'm not the body. Mind belongs to me, but I'm not the mind. See that? So when I'm not the body at all. Body belongs to me. Mind belongs to me, but I am not the body. I am not the mind. The moment I am the body and the mind, you have fear, you have anxiety, you have duality, you have conflict. Why? My mind is pushing me to speak out.
Okay.
So that real I is pure consciousness, all-pervading, unchanging reality. On the other side, the material cause, which is the body, mind, intellect, ego, are constantly changing. Constantly changing. One is changing, other is totally unchanging. One is limited, this body and your body, but that consciousness is totally unlimited. We have to answer one question: how they came together. Because they cannot come together. Why they cannot come together? One is totally unchanging, all pervading, and the other is everyday changing, every moment it is changing. How can they come together? That is the problem we have to solve in the journey of the self-discovery. The master gives an example of a red hot iron ball. What happens to the red hot iron ball? Have you seen any iron ball which is red and which is also hot? Intrinsic nature of the iron ball is neither red nor hot. Intrinsic nature means in a natural state. The iron ball is always blackish in color. You can paint it, that's a different thing. And it is neither hot. The intrinsic nature is cold. Have you seen any fire which has a shape of ball? No. The fire does not have any shape. So what happened when I say red hot iron ball? Temporarily, iron ball borrows some properties of the fire. That is why it appears as red. And the fire has borrowed some properties, the shape of the iron ball. That's why it appears like an fireball. Did you understand that?
Yeah.
Same thing. Consciousness borrows some properties of the body. And the body is borrowed, body and the mind together borrows some properties of the consciousness. So after borrowing that properties of the consciousness, which is immortal and all-pervading, this body-mind complex starts singing a tone that I am eternal. But it is not, so that is why it is scared of a death. What is your what your intrinsic nature is not, and still you claim? Not possible. You leave the red hot iron ball, place it outside the fire, it moves back into its original nature, the blackish in color and also the cold. You have separated the fire. Now the fire does not show any shape of the sphere. So they do not mix up together. They have simply borrowed each one's properties. That is why I feel my body is sentient. That is why I feel body is sentient. That is why my eyes are sentient. I can see you. Oh, do you see that? I can see you. It doesn't. No. Can I really see? Minus consciousness. Consciousness is not behind. So from where the consciousness comes, behind the eyes there is a mind. So mind is conscious. Sometimes you know what happens? You keep looking at a person and still it appears that you are not looking because your mind is somewhere else.
Yeah.
So it means the mental consciousness is somewhere else. And that consciousness, borrowed by the mind, was thinking something else, and your vision is just blank. So it means what? If we say my eye sees you, no. Behind the eyes it is the mind. Mind can see you, no. Behind the mind there is a consciousness. If the consciousness is not present throughout in the mind, in the sense organ, in all the sense organs, these sense organs will not function. So these sense organ in the mind borrows the properties of the consciousness, and they act as if they are living entities. Fact is that they are nothing but the matter and the material cause. What is matter? Protein. Ice is also made up of the same protein, carbohydrate, mineral, and vitamins. That is what we say. Oh, I forgot. Vitamin A is necessary for your eyes. We don't say conscious. Without consciousness, your eyes cannot see. We live in so much of ignorance. We don't say for the eyes to see, consciousness is needed. Oh, your eyes have become weak. Eat vitamin A. Take vitamin D, your body feels weak. We don't say if the consciousness is not there, forget about the body cannot exist. Body does not sustain. So by step by step process, we separate. They are already separate. The way you understand that red hot iron ball cannot exist, it is because of the fire. and the fire has an intrinsic properties of a redness and the heat. Iron ball does not have an intrinsic property of redness or the heat. They are always together, and we know how to separate them. Make the iron ball free from the influence of the fire, the iron ball reaches to its own nature. Fire also goes back to its own nature. But there we can separate. It's a metaphor. So metaphor is not always equal, but it gives a sense of understanding. So through the knowledge and understanding, applying these principles internally in our intellect, we separate, not physically, cognitively. Cognitively, we separate the body-mind complex from the real self, and we awaken to our real self. That is known as the awakening. So once cognitively we have separated, again I'm stressing, once we have separated cognitively, cognition. Now you have heard the word cognition, recognition, cognitive ability. So in our intellect, when we have separated them, it is an irreversible process. What do you mean by irreversible process? You always recognize that I am not the body-mind complex. I am what I am. I am the pure consciousness, all-pervading, eternal, cannot be objectified, does not go any modifications. That is known as awakening. That is known as the realization of one's nature. Now, you have already intrinsic nature of the body, you know it. It is intrinsic. No, I am in stress. No, you cannot be in stress. Why? The stress is experienced by the mind. Behind that, there is a consciousness. Consciousness does not experience the stress. If the consciousness experiences the stress, once it experiences the stress, it will continue to live in the stress. It is the mind that is constantly changing. So today in the morning...
So then, what would you say? You would say my mind is experiencing stress?
Yes, definitely.
And so then, instead of saying I have a headache, you would say my head hurts?
Yes, my body has a headache. Obviously. We have mixed up everything. That is why I gave an example of red hot iron ball.
Do you think it's important about the way I communicate in saying certain things?
Remember, you communicate, the way you communicate is okay. But you understand cognitively when you say I have a headache to anyone outside, they understand it or not, it doesn't matter. But when you say I have a headache, you cognitively understand you are referring it to the body, not to you. Not to you. We cannot change the communicative language. It has to be universally accepted. It has to be universally. It's a communication language. Communication. Language is for the communication. So we should continue to use, okay, where are you? I'm at home. No, you are not at home. Your body is at home. So you see that? I love you. No, if you're saying to your honey, no, your body and mind loves the other body and the mind. You are simply present there.
So then, so it's like a stupid question, but so do you love your wife? Like, how do you, or do I love, explain love to me then. Yeah, explain love to me.
Your first question, do you love your wife? that you make it clear. Who are you? Your body and the mind? You love that another body and mind? It is for the sake of pleasure. It has nothing to do with it has nothing to do with the real love. Love is universal. Love is another name of the pure consciousness, which is always present. But then, no, there are a lot of confusions are there. But why the hell we go for a sex? It is a universal law. we go for procreation. All the animal species or plants, they go for procreation, they create their offspring. That is the natural law. But we defy the natural law. We use it for pleasure. All the animals, they just go for producing the offspring. I was looking at the tiger. The tigress attracts the tiger only at a particular season. We have no season.
Yeah.
We have no season, and we say, I love you, honey. Every day, honey, and every day, money. It doesn't work that way. So we defy that natural law. So there is a natural law that is present in the entire cosmos. Because of that consciousness does not change, but in the presence of that consciousness, the lowest material law is that there is an attraction between the matter and the matter. Mouse, there is an attraction between the matter and matter. There is an attraction between the cell and cell. Science did not create this attraction. It is natural. It is intrinsic. That is why I see the remote. That is why I see the wall. That is why you are a builder. What kind of a builder you are? Did you create that attraction between the matter and matter? No. You understood that the wall can be created to a particular height because there is already an intrinsic nature of attraction between the matter and matter. So the lowest level of attraction is between the matter and the matter. Above it, now the consciousness envelops the body and livens the body. Now this body has a natural tendency to create an offspring. That is why it is attracted to the opposite sex. Now everything is possible. We are also attracted to the same sex. But I'm not going there. That's not my cup of tea. So,
of course.
So
well, that would be the mind anyway. Right?
Yes. So we are not going there. We leave that part, So attraction between the body and body of the opposite sex in order to produce the offspring, that's a universal law. Science did not discover this. Science did not create man and the women. Science does not create the opposite sex. They have understood physiologically and other aspects of it. So, at the age of maturity, we can create an offspring. That is the second attraction. Third attraction is between the mind and the mind. You see, we say, Bill Gates may say, I have created an empire of the Microsoft, or Tim can say that I have created an empire of the iPhone. No, he's wrong.
Steve Jobs?
Steve Jobs, create. No. There is another law that is now better, higher than the matter to matter, body to body, that is mind to mind. When the mind attracts the mind, it creates a big enterprises, it creates a big machines. Because in iPhone industry, you have a marketing team, you have a software developer, you have an IT expert, you have a huge building that is created in California. How many minds were together to create such a big empire? Not only, it is not possible only by the Steve Jobs, it is not only possible by Microsoft. Not at all. One mind cannot do that. So many minds go together harmoniously, they create so many machines, marvels. No doubt. We accept that. But attraction between the mind and the mind, why you are attracted to a particular skill set, you became the builder. Why a particular skill set I received or I harnessed to become a teacher. That is unknown to me. So that we have an answer to that also. And the last one, last attraction is the self and the self. That self in you and me. There is a natural attraction, but it hides because of my mental to mental attraction, because of physical to physical attraction. because of material attraction. It hides, it veils. We have to remove the veil to reach to that state of highest state of the consciousness. So once you reach to that state, highest state of the consciousness, you see that everything, the mental, mind to mind attraction, body to body attraction, material, matter to matter attraction are simply the manifestation. They are simply the manifestation. Means it was unmanifest before. Now it is manifest. After some time, it will unmanifest again. So this weird guy was non-existent 65 years ago. It's still, you can say by luck or by chance, it is still manifest. After a few more years, it will become unmanifest. Manifest, unmanifest is not the birth and the death. Manifest or unmanifest is not the birth and the death. It has nothing to do with the birth and death. Cloud appears and cloud disappears. You cannot say cloud is born and cloud is died. That's why we don't use the word the car is born and car is dead. We use the scrap material to create so many things. We recycle it. So that existence recycle this body also. Let them recycle whenever they want. Let them do it. So if I don't allow them to do it. Why? I have a fear. I have an anxiety. I have a duality. I have a conflict. I have a fear. Long list. I am depressed because I will die. I told you my master, 80 years old, this guys, I have everything in my life, but I'm scared of the death. And he started crying. So my master said, I can give you a guarantee. So he stopped crying. I said, I can give you a guarantee that one day you will definitely die. That is a guarantee I can give you. You cannot stop it. You can delay, postpone it. I heard that, no, I read that somewhere. I forgot to save that article.